Ladies and gentlemen, participants, welcome to the inaugural EduCity Leadership Summit 2021, brought to you by EduCity, happening starting today until 11th February 2021. Now, EduCity brings you a set of speakers that consists of iconic international figures in the sports industry and Malaysia's corporate leader, talking about leadership skills, not just to student leaders, to even the corporate working community who wants to learn about leadership. Now, today's topic, we'll be hearing from Manoj from Twimbit Pte Ltd, who'll be talking about career versus careering. But before that, I would like to take some of your time, because it's a very special segment. This is the first one for us to hear a little bit of a welcoming remark from our Managing Director of EduCity, Encik Wan Ahmad Saifuddin. Encik Wan, please do share a welcoming note to all the participants.
Hello, everybody. So firstly, I'd like to welcome you to EdLeadS. So this is the first international leadership program being organized by EduCity. We have broken down the series into 10 different segments. So this will be spread from today, 11th of January, until the 11th of February. And we hope you will tune into all of them. We have really a great list of speakers coming up. And, some people say, why are we organizing it over a whole 1 month period? This is because we want it to be in bite-sized learning so that you can actually absorb the learning and not get Zoom fatigue while you're going through the whole session. So, here's to a great start. Hope to see you guys on every session. Thank you.
Right, John. Maybe I can have some Q&A session with you before we let you go and start with the session. What was the idea and the inspiration behind organizing EduCity Leadership Summit?
Well, we like to go by the tagline of learn, live, and lead. So this is really focusing on the lead part for EduCity, because I think the learn is being done mainly by the educational institution. The living conditions is one of the things that we actively participate in. So we have our student village, we have all our activities. But the lead part is where the crux of where the session is. We also had discussed some things with Ministry of Higher Education. We had approached them and they asked whether we wanted to organize a national student leadership summit. So this is the product of what we have been doing over the past months. And we're very happy, to note the list of speakers that's coming up. One conversation I had almost a year ago with Mike Phelan, the assistant manager of Manchester United, to ask him whether he'd like to be on board for this session, and he said absolutely. He has a wealth of experience of nurturing young people into giving really, really high performance over a sustainable period. So I think there's valuable insights to be gained from that. So we have Mike coming out for about 4 of the series, of the 10 series that we have. And we also, another theme that's running through this series is what is the future of work? How do you think about careers? And how much we hear so much about AI, robotics, etc. But where's the role of us as a human being? So these are some of the things that I think the speakers will touch on, and I'm very excited to see what they're going to speak about.
It's very exciting that Ministry of Higher Education, who is also supporting this particular event, asked you to do this event. Why leadership is so important? Being an education city, people always thought we're just a destination, but then again, the EduCity is giving and organizing a lot of programs directly to all the students themselves. Maybe you can share, Joanne.
I think, most of us have been through an education journey, and what prepares you best for the next step that you're going to take? It's and a lot of times, sometimes you're going to join clubs, societies, you're going to join organizations, and they give you a chance to exercise your leadership muscle. Once you get thrown to the workplace, some of these things will be expected of you anyway. So what we want to do is create activities that prepares the student to have opportunities for leadership. And we believe, one of the things we did was we created the EduCity Student Senate, which is a representative body of all the education institutions in EduCity, such that they will have the opportunity to represent their institutions plus work together at the same time.
And then I know EduCity formed EduCity Student Senate, right?
That's right, correct.
So we're very proud that we have another guest of honor, ex-president Sarah Chevon, who happens to be the ex-president for EduCity Student Senate 2019-2020. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for
Thank you
having
for
me.
joining us. Now, very interestingly, you were the president for 2019. September was the election.
Yeah.
March 2020, COVID happens. As president, as the leader of your committee, and of course, being the representative of all the students in EduCity, being the basically the platform, how did you cope with it? How did you lead your team?
Well, when it first started, I was very intimidated and I was very proud, and I was a bit stressed out. I didn't know whether I'll be doing a good job. Then COVID started and everyone was just coming together. We knew that we had to adapt. So very quickly we had to adapt in our curriculum, in extracurriculars. We had our studies to do online suddenly, and we had to forgo, my team had to forgo a lot of face-to-face events and our team building exercises, all these competitions that we were all looking forward to, especially with our fellow students. But at the end of the day, I think even though COVID, the pandemic, did bring us down, it really taught us how to become better, become nimble, to shift ourselves where it is needed. So even though we are still studying, we are still students, we know how to be thrown at the deep end, and I think we came out of it really great. I'm very proud of my members and how they conducted themselves. They were there for we were all there for each other. And even though, yes, my name, I was the president, the leader, but they were really there we were all there for each other when we needed it. So it didn't feel so terrible. And I think it brought us all together because, you know, we can have all these competitions, whether the students are in campus or out of campus. I think we shouldn't see it as a bad thing.
Yeah,
I
that's a
think
silver
we really
lining at the end
yes,
of the day.
Yes.
Talking about silver lining, as you said, we have to be nimble, we have to adapt. Are you excited for some of the topics, you know, even as Chairman mentioned, themed future of work? Do you think as the young leaders of tomorrow, you need to be prepared for a totally different landscape in terms of types of jobs that are out there?
So in regard to that, I'm especially excited for the one that's later on with Twimbit and with GigXGlobal. For the Twimbit one, what's it?
Career
versus
careering.
careering. So I'm a student, and I know even with my seniors, with my juniors, recently we don't know what to pick the subjects. You know, we think of what is there later on in the future for us, you know, whether these jobs will still be around. And I'm about to graduate soon, so I'm thinking, I don't want to just go out into the workforce and just become a zombie. I actually want to be happy, and I want to know the difference between a career and actually thriving in it. So I'm really looking forward to the one with Twimbit. And the other one, Rise of Humans, not robots. You know, you watch all the TV and movies, and everyone tells you, no, do not pick this career because robots are going to take over it.
Yes.
I think we should learn to actually work together with technology. Look, COVID came and we had to upgrade ourselves, work together with it, we became better. So I think these series would really help both my student members and all my friends to actually have some hope, less fear about the future, you know?
That's nice. Some hope, less fear. Cik Wan, you being somebody very experienced in the corporate field, you've been leaders in a lot of big companies. The future of work, has it been, how far have it been different between your time as a youth leader of your own to now?
Well, I think in the end, you can study anything, but what you're really studying is learning how to learn. Once you're in a job, there's going to be 95% of things you're going to be asked to do are things you've never done before. So it's really about what attitude do you take to the workplace and how flexible are you, how nimble are you to move around and accommodate the situation that you have. This is my 13th job, my 5th industry. And I think, what are the skills that assisted me is understanding the context of where you are right now and then adapting to it and then doing your best, really. There's no secret sauce to success, but that's as good as any approach you can take.
Just to share with everyone, the interesting strategic partner that we have for this event are like CREST, Lenovo, Maybank, Twimbit, GigXGlobal. So maybe Cik Wan, you can highlight the strength, for example, Maybank. How important is financial literacy? I'm not just saying for students, this is like across all board, whether the students need to have this conversation with their parents and so forth. And Maybank is coming in soon, but maybe can you share a little bit about having this understanding and not being scared to talk about the importance of financial literacy?
Okay, I mean, the purpose of financial literacy is for you to get through life a little bit easier because it helps you plan your expenses, if you want to put away some money for a rainy day, etc. But I think apart from financial literacy and knowing how to plan, the interesting thing that I note about the Maybank talk is also talking a little bit about the future of banking. Because banks, I mean, who's been to a bank branch, more than, I don't know, once in 2 months or once in 3 months? I hardly go to bank branch. Most things can be done online. So the nature of banks are evolving as well. And yet, at the same time, you can't go fully digital. I mean, we ourselves are introducing an ATM, CDM machine downstairs.
Yes.
And it's still essential. You still need to transact physically for certain things. So I think I'd be very interested to listen to what Maybank has to say, about how we should be thinking about managing our finances and how we should be thinking about our relationship with banks in the future.
All right. And can I also add on, proudly to announce Maybank is the first in Iskandar Putri.
Yes, it's the first ATM, CDM machine in the whole of Iskandar Putri. You have to drive, I think, 20 minutes or so to the nearest one. Apart from that, it's great that Maybank's our partner and has committed towards training our students to understand finance a lot better.
All right. Before we end, Cik Wan, Sensible Soccer, Mike Wieland, even his partner in Sensible Soccer, David Horrocks, we'll be talking about growth mindset, communication, decision making, and leadership. Why sport as a medium to talk about leaders?
Well, I think everybody can relate to sports. It's not a black box. If you talk about corporate leadership, being in a board, doing some big financial transaction, not many people can imagine that. But sports is something that most people can relate to. And Mike, having his wealth of experience and the 4 topics that he's going to talk about, has gone through just about everything in the challenges that you face as putting a team together. I mean, in any company that you work with, you have to work as a team. You can't just be a solo person out there and scoring all the goals if nobody passes the ball to you. That's at a very mundane level. But really, how do you sustain performance, with others and get others to perform over a long period of time? And these are some of the things that I think we hope to glean. And I'm very happy to note the current position of Manchester United in the tables. And I think, so we'll see Mike with a bigger smile probably when he presents as well.
Okay. So any last word, Cik Wan, to all the participants before we kick off the first series of the day?
So stay glued to the screen. I mean, listen, participate, ask questions. The whole intention of this series is that you get the most out of it. We've put together a fantastic list of speakers, so stay tuned. Set your alarm clocks. Sleep the rest of the day, it's okay, but stay tuned towards our program. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, any last words to your friends?
make sure to have a watch. We're going to go into the future together. And I really hope that we all become future leaders later on together. So I'm very proud to be part of this as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Cik Wan. Ladies and gentlemen, and that's it for today's session where we are talking to Encik Wan Ahmad Sabri, our Managing Director and ex-President for EduStudent Senate. I know everyone must be excited. We are going to go to see the presentation by Manoj in about 1 minute more. I'm just going to announce everyone to stay tuned until the end part of the series because I'm going to announce how you're going to win exclusive merchandises from Sensible Soccer. So, guys, are you ready? We are going to hear from the best talking about career versus careering, including our moderator, Ms. Shireen from GigXGlobal. Manoj Menon, talking about career versus careering, Twimbit Private Limited. Take it away.
Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the nice introduction. Nice to see you, Wan and Sarah and everybody in the call and in the summit. I have the pleasure of moderating the first session. So this is going to be really, really fun. We have started the chats already and introducing the topic and Manoj. Manoj needs no introduction. We've worked together in a couple of projects in my past professional life as the CEO of Talent Corp. And Manoj Menon has now moved on to his own startup, I would say. He's the MD and founder of Twimbit. And he's going to share about this really, really interesting topic about career and careering. And we are, testing your knowledge about the two. And we'll hear from Manoj as he tells us a little bit more through his presentation. There will be a montage to introduce you, Manoj, and then after that, you can take the floor. Thank you. We can. Yeah, let's go with it. So this is the interesting part. I'm in KL, Manoj is in Singapore, and the team is in Iskandar. So we're really doing this regionally across different dimensions. So take it away, Manoj. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for this incredible opportunity. First and foremost, I must say, give me a second to get this right. Yeah. First and foremost, congratulations to Anchik Wan and the entire EduCity team. What an incredible idea to do this event on relating to sports. I'm super passionate about sports. And in fact, after I completed my career of 23 years, for the first 6 months, what I did was I went and studied what can I learn from sports and apply that back to business. And so super thrilled that, Anchik Wan has picked up that as the nucleus of the subject. I agreed with everything he said, except for the Manchester United part. That is not going to happen. It just so happens that they're, at the top of the league as of now, but that may not last very long. Anyway, so career versus careering. This topic was initially given to me, and I was wondering, what is this topic really? And I searched a lot on the internet, and I must admit, I couldn't get much on this. There was no other piece of content. So I have taken the liberty to define what this means. Yeah. And to begin with, I thought what would be good is to give you a sense of my career. Yeah? How did my career evolve? And through that lens, maybe you have a better understanding of what to expect. I was listening to Sarah, and I must completely say that this generation of youth that is, gone through this pandemic, will be unlike any other generation, and it will have prepared you for a career, for a lifetime of learning and agility that you need to bring in. My daughters could not give their GCSE and IG and IB exams, and all that preparation went maybe to and they were disappointed they couldn't take the exams. So there's a lot of things at play here. So coming back to my career, I must say, as soon as I finished my MBA way back in 1990, I was in the midst of an MBA program, and I just started the MBA program, and I got a freelance project, So I don't know, you see that in Malaysia, you see these small classified advertisements. There was a very small classified advertisement that I happened to chance upon on a weekend. And one of my friends saw it and he said, Manoj, let's apply. There is this small company called Frost and Sullivan. They want some freelancers to do some research. Shall we just apply? And we took the opportunity, we applied. And as luck would have it, they gave us that project. I remember even distinctly, even today, they gave us $400 for a project that lasted almost 3 months. And we 6 young students got together to do that project. So invariably, we all earned like about $40 or $50 over a period of 3 months. We were super thrilled and excited. We continued that project. We did another project. And before you know, they offered me a job to join them as soon as I graduated. And I took up that job. Then they said, hey, Manoj, why don't you move to Singapore? I moved to Singapore in '98. I was one of the first few employees. There were 2 other colleagues here. And it was in the middle of the economic downturn at that time in 1998. Things were not looking good, but it was the best time to possibly start a business. And we started, we expanded, we opened up our office in Malaysia. And it was an incredible career that I enjoyed, over the course of the last 20 odd years. We opened up offices in almost every major country in Asia. I was lucky, I got promoted to become the managing director for the region. I was one of the youngest partners. I got a chance to meet with some very, very senior, inspiring leaders like Tun Mahathir. And it was humbling, and it was, I remember this. I hosted him in 2015 for a dinner, and it is that evening is still very vividly, clear in my mind. I was sitting next to him at the dinner table. That event lasted about 3 hours. We presented awards to about 35 companies, and usually when an event is happening, dinner is happening, people are talking, nobody's paying attention to the award recipients. But Tun Mahathir was not like that. He was paying attention to every single award recipient. He was clapping for every single company that went up on stage. He was curious enough to ask me about every single company. What did they do? Why did they win? What is unique about them? At that time, Tun Mahathir was already 90 plus years of age. Yeah? So the level of curiosity that he had at that age was super impressive. So after about 24 years of spending time in Frost and Sullivan, I decided, a time has come for me to do something different. And I didn't know what to do. I first did is I formed a new company without knowing exactly what I will do. I spent 6 months soul searching, looking for different projects, different young people to partner with, to collaborate. And then I said, let me go back to what I understand the best, which is research. And when you read research reports, usually they are boring, you fall asleep. As a company, we used to produce so much research, but so little of that research was actually consumed by all the people. So there we found our new sense of purpose. And that sense of purpose is how to bring joy in the consumption of research. When you consume Instagram today, or you consume Snapchat or Facebook, you're always smiling. You are addicted to it. When you read research, you're not as addicted to it. So how do we bring that experience that social media has today to research, so that we bring some joy and happiness? And through that process, we help you improve the way you manage your career or your business. So that is the journey, right? And as I went through this journey, I said, as I look at all of you young people, and you are embarking on a very, very important journey. So I said, what will be a few things that you need to keep in mind as you look at building your careers over the next 20, 30, 40 years, or maybe even more, maybe 70 years by the time you guys grow up, right? So here I thought, let me start by putting a few pointers, right? So let's start with the first one. Right? When I graduated out, and I walked you through my career journey, when I graduated out, you had 2 options, right? You could work for a small company or you could work for a big company. Right? You either worked for a small company like Frost and Sullivan, which is really small then, or you work for a big company like an IBM or a Coca-Cola, or those are the big companies in those days. And invariably, what happens is, if you studied in a great university, then you work for the IBMs of this world. If you studied in a not so good university and you didn't make it really to the top, then you ended up working for the small companies. And the business economics was very clear. It was very simple. The small company eats the big company and it gets bigger, right? That is how businesses functioned for about 30, 40, 50 years. But now the life has changed. The environment that you guys are entering is suddenly very, very different. You have an environment where there is a small company, there is a big company, and there are thousands of new small companies, exciting small companies, right? And if I ask many of you, maybe many of you don't want to work for the Telecom Malaysias or the Maybanks of this world. Many of you want to work for the startups. You want to work for a Grab. You want to hopefully work for somebody like Twimbit, right? Because you see the energy, the passion. Right? And what is happening is these small companies are now challenging the big companies in a very, very big way. They are rapidly changing the dynamics, because these small companies, by way of technology, have access to the same amount of capabilities that the big company has. Yeah. So the lesson number one is, now you are in a very different dynamic. You have a wide variety of choices. Maybe a small company is as interesting as a big company. It depends on what you need to consider. The second thing is, technology and globalization is rapidly changing the creation and destruction of jobs, right? So Enchik Wan mentioned, how will the bank of the future look like? Maybank has roughly maybe 1,000 branches today. Will they have 1,000 branches tomorrow? It's very unlikely. High on the list of Maybank will be, how do I reduce the number of branches? So the people who worked in the branches will have to find some different, completely new skill set to serve, right? A lot of jobs will go away. But the good news is a lot of new jobs will be created. There is no shortage of jobs. At least I passionately believe that, the world has so many problems to solve, right from terrorism to environment to pollution to you name it. We have so many challenges to solve. And therefore, there is no dearth of jobs. But what is going to change is there will be a lot of new jobs will be created and a lot of old jobs will go away. So that means we need to be agile to shift from one job to another job. Right? Many of us and many of our children will work in companies or jobs that have not existed today. And that's going to be a huge amount of people. So trying to anticipate and say, oh, I'm going to do that job day after tomorrow is going to be supremely difficult. So what it means is you need a commitment to lifelong learning, because if you're not committed to lifelong learning, you will become redundant, whether you work for somebody or whether you work for yourself. The other major trend is, this era of technology and this era of independence that is available is more and more people want to be now working for themselves. Yeah? So increasingly, we find that there will be this growth of freelance economy. Companies may not have a lot of people on their payroll. You take the likes of the Ubers and the Airbnbs and the Grabs of this world. Their direct employees are few, but their indirect employees are too many. And while it started in the transportation sector and the hospitality sector, this is very soon going to happen in the banking sector, in the education sector, in every sector. This trend is going to continue. And the interesting thing is that, when people work for themselves, I can tell you they invest more in themselves. They invest more in rescaling themselves. So the competition for you is absolutely going to be intense. Yeah? So these are the 5 trends that I think you should keep in mind as you look at building your careers. Now, I think after this, allow me to tell you a few, address really the subject at heart. So at the beginning, I asked you, hey, what is this career? And what is the difference between career and careering, right? So career is maybe a linear progression. That means, oh, here is a career path. I join as an executive, become a manager, become an assistant manager, become a director, become a vice president, then I become a CEO. It is structured, it is less risky, it gives you good return, but maybe it's an average return. You know, you'll get 4, 5, 7% return. Yeah. And relatively, because you are looking at a career progression, maybe the skill set that you need to have may not be as varied as, you know, as is the case you may follow with careering. Now, what is careering? Careering is a zigzag way. That means it's not saying I'm going to go down this path like this. Imagine you are starting your own business, right? It is, you know, the uncertainty is there. It is about aspirational. How do you go after a purpose? It is, you know, in fact, it is not less risk, it is more risk and more return. I apologize for this mistake. And the important thing about careering is that you need now what I call a comb-shaped multi-skill capability. It is not enough to have one skill if you want to succeed in careering. You know, you need to have a diverse set of skills. You may need to know a little bit of finance, a little bit of HR, a little bit of technology, and the integration of these three together is what helps you unlock that value, right? So that is what careering is all about. And I think, you know, as was pointed out in the discussion by somebody, they said, oh, you know, you may choose career at a particular stage in your career, and you may choose careering at a different stage in a career, right? So for example, when you start up, you may say, hey, I want to work for a big company. I want to pick up my skills. I would rather go for a career. Yeah. And later, when I'm mature, then I go for careering. Yeah? I may want to argue that, man, that is exactly the reverse of what you should be doing. Because when you are young, you have less risk. You don't have to worry about a family. You don't have to worry about your kids' education. You can be adventurous. You can be inspirational. You can take as much more risk as you want, right? So that is what career versus careering is all about. Now, irrespective of this approach of career or careering, you know, based on my learning, based on all the studies that I've had through studying of sports, you know, I came up with a 5-point plan on how I believe that you guys can focus on building extraordinary personal success in your business or in your careers, right? So, and this 5-point program is, you know, as follows. The first one, whether you work for somebody or you work for yourself, or you work for a big company or you work for a small company, you know, you need to find a purpose. You know, the ignition of that purpose within you and the connection to that purpose is what will give you the biggest and most important satisfaction. More importantly, because you are connected with that purpose, your employer will like you, or the people around will like you, you know. So I think that connection to purpose and identification of a purpose and closely aligning yourself to solving that purpose is what will make you exceptional. So, you know, now many of you may already have a purpose. So I want to be a pilot. I want to travel the world. I want to explore. Some of you may have a purpose which says, I want to be the best chef in the world, right? Now, if you are lost and you don't know what a good purpose is, you know, I encourage you, the United Nations has come up with 17 sustainable goals, right? You can go and pick up any of these sustainable goals and align yourself, because each of these sustainable goals, there are tons of career opportunities, tons of business innovation opportunities that are out there that you can follow, right? And if you go to that website on sustainable development goals, you will see that, you know, they have already discussed about the issues, the specific challenges in different parts of the world. Pick up any one of them, align yourself, get yourself knowledgeable and informed about it. And the moment you do that, I can tell you, people and companies and businesses will come flocking to you flocking to you because they will want your skill, your expertise on how you are thinking, trying to solve this problem through the leverage of technology. So once the purpose is clear, then the next step is to define the vision, right? Now, I don't know how many of you know this fellow on this picture. Many of us are in Asia, so maybe we have not seen him in action. But this particular person on this picture is Wayne Gretzky. Now, Wayne Gretzky is special because he is one of the world famous best ice hockey player that the world has ever produced. Means there is nobody better than him. Now, ice hockey is one of the fastest outdoor sports in the world. Outdoor, indoor, you may call it, depending on what you call it. It is one of the, because that puck, the ball that is there, the puck they call it moves at lightning speed, right? And this guy, even, he retired almost like 2 decades ago. Despite having, retired 2 decades ago, this fellow continues to have over 70 world records to his name. That is the exceptional talent. In fact, so much so that people around the world refer to him as the great one. The great one. Such is his exceptional talent. Now, during one of the interviews, they asked Wayne Gretzky, hey, what made you so successful? Why were you so bloody good on that ice skating ring? And he said, there is one single thing that I used to do throughout the game, which is I skate to where the puck is going to be. So that means I don't go to where the puck is now. I go to where it is going to be. So when you plan something, don't plan to solve the problems of today. Plan to solve the problem of tomorrow, because then you become relevant. The world's best CEOs, they don't operate in today. They operate 3, 4, 5. Some of the most visionary ones like Elon Musk, man, they operate 10 years into the future, right? So think about that ability to visualize the future. Think about the bank of the future and see how your role is in that bank of the future, right? So prepare for the future, understand that, have a vision of that future. Pick up the problem, the purpose that you're passionate about, and then connect that and start identifying the future, and then think about the role that you can play in that future, right? So with the vision having set, so that was number 2. First was purpose, second is vision, right? Now, what is the third? So third is you need to set benchmarks. So once you have thought about a vision of the future, and you have a vision, like Elon Musk had a vision of the future of this world with electric cars. He wanted to change the whole world of combustion engines with electric vehicles, right? So we need to set the benchmarks. The moment you set a benchmark, then you know how to start working with it. Allow me to tell you a couple of stories to help you understand these benchmarks, right? So the person on this picture is Roger Bannister. Now, Roger Bannister, is going down in history because he was the first human being in the world, first human being to do the mile in less than 4 minutes. And it was unthinkable. It was unthinkable that a human being can do a mile in less than 4 minutes in those days. In 19, people just couldn't believe it. Now, this guy somehow managed to do it. Now, the moment he managed to do it, what happens next? Within a year, other people managed to do it. As of today, now hundreds of people have managed to do the mile in less than 4 minutes. Why have they been able to do it? Because what happened is Roger Bannister set the benchmark. And what did others do? I got to beat that benchmark. Then they started copying. Hey, how did he sleep? What did he wear? What time did he wake up? What did he practice? What did he not do? What food did he eat? What clothes did he wear? Who was his coach? Man, they studied everything. So once the benchmark was set, then they managed to study every damn thing about him, and they all followed in his steps and they beat that benchmark. So start by setting a benchmark. I'm going to tell you another interesting story, and this story will help you connect and understand that after setting a benchmark, how do you go about executing and winning that race, right? So they say that, anybody can win a race, right? You can win a race if tomorrow there's a race in EduCity. That's reasonably easy. You can set a benchmark and you can win it. But if you want to set a world record, that means you've got to beat everybody who has ever shown up on this planet Earth, right? So what they did is, here is a great story. I personally am a marathon runner and I love running marathons, so I'm passionate about this subject. So this is the record for marathons around the world. In 1998, the world record was 2 hours and 6 minutes for running a 42-kilometer race. Yeah, a 42-kilometer race they run in 2 hours and 6 minutes. That is much faster than we can drive our cars in many parts of Malaysia, right? Now, over the last, you can see 20 years or so, this record has dropped by about 4 minutes. So in 2014, when the previous record was set, it was 2 hours, 2 minutes and 57 seconds. So, some crazy people around the world said, man, we got to come up with, they say, beating 2. Can we do the marathon in less than 2 hours? They came up with that vision. And Nike was the one who came up with that vision. And he said, under 2 or 0, I forget the exact terminology, but they said, let's do the marathon in less than 2 hours. So what did they do? Now, in order to be able to achieve this vision, they went and assembled a pool of the world's best athletes. They picked up 3 different runners. The guy in the center is the world's best marathon runner. These 2 are the world's best half marathon runners. And they said, let's work with them. Let's train them. Let's study their biology. Let's study their food and nutrition. And at the same time, Nike is in the business of selling shoes. Let's also design some good shoes for them, because the shoes will make them more successful. It will make them run faster, right? And the goal is what? Breaking 2. I got to do it in 1 hour, 59 minutes and 59 seconds. Yeah, that is the vision they came up with. Now, that is not enough. In order to achieve that vision, they had to go one step even further. They said, you know what? It is not just about these athletes running. Let's look at the entire journey. Said, okay, let's make it easy for them to run. Let's pick up the flattest terrain in the world. Because if they run 42 kilometers on the flattest terrain, there is a chance they will be more successful. Let's pick up the best surface of the world. So they picked up the Formula One track in Milan. They said, let's pick up the best temperature. The best temperature is 54 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is at 4 o'clock in the morning in Milan. They picked the time, right? And then they said, oh, by the way, we should also pick up the best shoe, which is Nike. And that will make it more efficient, because ultimately they want to sell shoes. And then they picked up the 63-year anniversary of Roger Bannister running the race, right? They picked exactly the same date to draw on the inspiration, to draw on the human inspiration to be able to achieve it. And guess what happened? Are you keen to find out whether they hit it in under 2? Sadly, they couldn't do it. They did it in 2 hours and 23 seconds. But he didn't give up. He went back. So what is the biggest lesson? The biggest lesson is, one, you can't do it alone. You've got to have a team to make this possible. While this marathon is an individual race, did he do it alone? No. He had the whole army around him to help him do it. So what he did was, you build a team around you to succeed. You need the nutrition, you need the shoe, you need the planning, you need the science, you need the engineering, right? And you got to do it. Now, the good news is, our friend last year, he broke the record on the second attempt. He did it in 1 hour, 59 minutes and 40 seconds, right? The perseverance pays. So you have a vision. People will tell you you can't do it. Many people will tell you because they have not done it, but you can do it. So believe in that purpose, believe in that vision, form that team, and you can do it. Okay? So what do you need to do to achieve this vision, guys? Yeah. And this is something I wish somebody told me when I started my career. So this is the principle. First was come up with the purpose. Second is the vision, form the benchmark, create a team, and then persevere. Now, how do you go about doing it? I wish, I had a coach, because a coach is not necessarily a player who plays better than you, right? A coach is someone who is looking at you, who is advising you. And I think many of us are familiar with Sir Alex Ferguson. He was a great, I think Enchigwan will like him a lot more than I do, right? And Ronaldo says, Sir Alex was my father in football. So everybody needs a coach. Find a coach, find somebody who is looking at you, who is motivating you, who is inspiring you, who is giving you feedback, right? The second step is create a board of advisors, right? You need to create your own board of advisors, right? Now, I've created my own board of advisors. These need not be, living people. It can be people whom I don't even have access to, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela. So what do? I go and read their biography. Every time I'm confused, I go and ask Jurgen Klopp, hey, what would you do if you were in my shoes? Now I know what you would have done. I know what Bill Gates would have done because I've read their bio. So I don't need to physically talk to them, but I can think about what they would tell me. So that is my board of advisors that inspires me, who challenges me to say, hey, go do this, right? So pick your own board of advisors and ask them that question, read their biographies. So you internalize what they would do in your position. Third one is build a support team, right? This Sachin Tendulkar is one of the greatest Indian cricketers. Now, he retired after playing for about 25 years. And when he gave his retirement speech, he went and he kept on speaking for about 4 minutes, 41 seconds. And all he was doing for 4 minutes, 41 seconds is thanking. I want to thank my friend. I want to thank my mother. I want to thank my father. I want to thank my first coach. I want to thank. He had about 1,000 people to thank. He achieved extraordinary success, not because of his talent, but he built an incredible support team of people around him who carried him along, who made him successful. If you don't have a support team, you will achieve very small things. So share your vision, share your purpose with as many people as you can, so that you can build a great support team, which will help you navigate this world and become successful. Final fourth point is be part of communities. Communities help you learn. That is how you build a support team. It can be the Manchester United community, which is not so good. The Liverpool community is a little better, so choose that, right? It can be a cycling community. It can be Harley Davidson community. Any community, be a society community, because communities teach you how to do it. So my advice to you guys, as you look at building your careers, as you look at doing career, embrace this principle, own your ambition. And I'm confident that, this generation will do a much better job. Yeah. So in summary, you may choose either of these paths, but what I've learned is that, as you are in career, focus on building the skills, because that is more important, because you're going to make yourself sellable. Right? I encourage you, change your bosses. I think Enchigwan is a gold standard, I believe. He said he changed so many jobs. I wish I changed so many jobs. It is not good to stay in one job for such a long period of time. Change bosses if you cannot change companies. Look for big aspiring projects in the company, not star projects when you join. When you are in the university, look at doing iconic projects to help EduCity become successful, or other things become. Work in new geographies. If you are doing careering, you should know, it is not planned. There is uncertainty. I may fail. And you should also know when to leave, because, you cannot, maybe you're not built out for careering. Maybe you are built out for career. So you should always know when to leave as well. So guys, thank you very much. I hope I have provoked some initial thinking. I look forward to taking some questions. And thank you very much, for this incredible opportunity. And a big thank you also to Enchigwan and team for, taking such a pioneering initiative and doing this. So over to you back, Shireen.
Lovely. Thank you, Manoj. I think you've inspired all the people who dial in. The comments were coming through, and we have about eight questions. But before we go into the question and answer session, let's play the montage that we kind of missed in the beginning. Just a bit of a technical glitch there, but I think the team has done such a great montage, and I invite the team to play it, and then we go into Q&A. Nice. Thank you. If that doesn't get your adrenaline running, I don't know what will. After your stories about the marathon runner and all the, fantastic sports icons. So let's go into the Q&A, Manoj. We've got about 30 minutes or so. So it's a good time to, pick out some of the questions. Maybe I kick off because, when we spoke yesterday, I was very inspired by the fact that you've switched your career to careering now, from your previous organization to starting this very exciting venture. How did it feel for you to make that switch? What were some of the challenges, and how did you deal with, the fear or overcoming the uncertainties?
Yeah, thank you very much, Shireen. I must say I was almost like in love with Frost and Sullivan because I grew with that company. I was among the first few employees. I thought it was my company, and to the credit of the company, global, chairman and CEO, they empowered me. They made me feel as if I owned the company. So it's almost impossible to quit. It took me almost 5 years from saying the first time that I want to quit to eventually leaving the company. So it was a very painful decision, and I still miss everybody there. But I had reached a point where I felt I'm not learning enough. I felt I'm gaming the system. Means I'm very comfortable. Everybody is listening to me. I'm managing the situation. I don't do well, but I manage the situation. So that level of discomfort, I had come to realize that the learning comes through discomfort, and if we don't have a discomfort, we will not learn. So I was worried I was becoming irrelevant. I was not moving fast enough, and that's where I said I have to leave. And I convinced my bosses, and they were quite supportive of me, and I think I decided to leave. So it happened, and I planned it out. I transitioned over a year and a half, so that was good. But it was tough because in Frost, I thought I was an entrepreneur because I was the first employee and I did everything for them. So I should not have any problem. I can do it all over again, right? It should be that easy. But it is different. I must say, it is not that easy. When while it was 20 years ago when I used to call, I'm from Frost and Sullivan. Nobody knew Frost and Sullivan, and I do a business. But there was still an entity that I could rely on, even though it was in the US. Now I call, I'm Twimbit. Oh, who Twimbit? What is Twimbit? The rejection, the pain, and people don't respond to your phone calls. It's super painful. Yeah. So yeah, it's not been easy, but I also know that people didn't know Frost and Sullivan 22 years ago. Now they know. So I also know that I look into the future, people will know Twimbit 20 years from today. So as long as I believe in some vision, and I know that there will be ups and downs, and then I will be fine. So it is the belief that I'm onto something, a greater purpose, is what I believe keeps me going and excited about it, because I found that purpose, and I think finding that purpose is important. And I didn't know the answer, to be sure. I set up the company, but I didn't know what the company was going to be about. I found that purpose a good 6 to 8 months after I left, actually.
Oh. So you're practicing what you actually shared with us earlier, your
Yeah,
purpose, your vision, and then the
because
benchmark, and get a
I
team.
reverse engineered the presentation
Yeah,
based on my learning so that it can help most of these others. And you don't have to go through the same agony that I went through, right?
part of being a
And
lead. Sorry, carry
yeah,
on, carry
no, I think that support team is something I learned
on.
from soccer because after I left, I'm relatively a young soccer fan as compared to many Malaysians who grow up loving soccer. And I saw the power of the fan club, how the fans inspire them to do so well. And, in businesses, we don't get that. A CEO can deliver great profit performance, but nobody stands up and claps for him. Very rare. How many times have people stood up and clapped when you were in your job in Talent Cup for the achievement for the year? Nobody ever does it.
Not
It's
a whole lot.
thankless. Yeah, it's thankless. You're alone as a CEO.
Yeah.
So I think, how do I change that? How do I bring that support team is what. So the key is tell as many people as you can
Mm, mm.
so that they are there when even if you fail, somebody is there to say, hey, don't worry, I'm there. And that's all
Yeah.
you need sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. And that kind of answers Kavita's question because she wanted to know what motivates you to push forward, for you to stay relevant, especially in this world where technology is evolving and changing so fast, and your new enterprise is sort of centered around technology.
Correct.
What are some of your inputs on that?
I think it's a great question,
Mm.
and this is what I keep reminding myself and my colleagues as well,
Mm.
that, we may start something, we may not be the best at it, but there is so much more innovation possible. So as long as we know that we are constantly innovating, we are fine. Let me give you an example. And I've used this, I keep reminding this example to my colleagues, to my team all the time. We all used to go to exercise, to the fitness clubs, gyms, right? And the membership, the common joke in the industry is you sell a fitness club membership, but nobody ever shows up. So you can sell as many membership, you don't need the capacity because people buy the membership, but nobody shows up, right? And then somebody said, let's change it, let's innovate. And there was a company called Soul Cycle in the US. What they did is let's innovate this entire idea of going to the gym. So is it people go cycling on streets, they fall, they have accidents. Let's innovate. And it became a huge trend where all the cycles were kept in the studio. They would have a great DJ and the music, and they created such a great environment that everybody started going to the gym. Right? So they re-innovated it, and Soul Cycle did extremely well. Now, is that innovation over? Is that industry innovation over? No. Another company comes after Soul Cycle. They say, hey, they did well, but can I innovate even more? Do I need to even go to the gym? Can I innovate even more? Can I bring the gym to your house? So they started a company called Peloton. So where now they sell you the cycle is in your house, and you can listen to the DJ live from New York City, right? So what we have seen is constantly innovation is happening. You may have missed the previous innovation. It doesn't matter. You focus on the future. As long as you focus on the future, you will get there. If you focus on copying somebody in the past, then we are dead. So just go to the future, follow Wayne Gretzky, think about the future, and maybe we'll be wrong the first 10 times. That's okay. But keep thinking about the future.
There was a question, yeah, and you are living and thinking about the future with Twimbit. And somebody asked, what is Twimbit? And I asked you the same question yesterday. How did you come up with it? It's fabulous. Share a little bit about that, Manoj.
Actually, coming up with the name is the most difficult thing you can ever do because it's so hard. All the good names are taken away. Oranges and apples are all gone, right? So I was looking for a name that reflects, I didn't want Frost and Sullivan or Manoj and so. That is, I think those are the previous generation. We needed a name that is young, that is youthful, that reflects possibilities of the future. So the thinking was that the business I am in is about ideas. It's about technology. So what can I come up with a name that reflects that? And so I commissioned some young people. You won't believe it. Somebody charged me less, 50 ringgit for this name. That's all I paid. 50 ringgit
No,
is what I paid
I
for
thought
this.
you paid a bomb.
50 ringgit.
Introduce me to this guy.
And it didn't happen. See, you have to go.
Yeah.
The answer doesn't lie with the designer or with the creative. It's about you pushing him with your idea to get what you want, right? And I give him full credit. So Twimbit stands for the world is moved by ideas and technology. It's an acronym. The world is moved by ideas and technology. TWIMBIT. So he put the words together. He gave me hundreds of names, by the way. And I must admit, when I used to first say Twimbit, people would say, what Twimbit? What is Twimbit? Tinbit, Tinbit. Oh my God, it was super painful. It's getting better now. It's getting better.
A bit like GigXGlobal. Sorry, a quick plug in there. Now, Norhana has a question that sort of dives right into what you do with Twimbit. What kind of research do you do? Or did you do in Frost and now Twimbit? Maybe focus a little bit more in Twimbit because that's more exciting.
So our entire research is about helping people build and prepare for the future. So we do research on what is the future of banking? What is the future of telecom? What is the future of AI? What is the future of customer experience? We are trying to research everything about the future and make it available to everybody. That is the objective. Now, the likes of Frost and Sullivan and Gartner, and there are big companies. They sell their subscriptions for a minimum of 50 to 100,000 ringgit. Somebody like Gartner sells it for 300,000 ringgit per user, right? Twimbit's objective is we want to be the Spotify or Netflix of business research. We want each and every one of you, for 100 ringgit a month, you will have access to the best research. So every company, big or small, every employee, irrespective of job function, should be able to have access to research. That is our vision. We are still in early days of our journey. And our goal is that we will give you research into future of industry, future of career, and future of technology. These are the few things that we are starting with.
Nice. There's a couple of questions on becoming a freelancer because you had that in your slides. Annette wanted to know what are the, is there a better chance of freelance and remote work and to get better opportunities? Where do they look for this kind of opportunities? And then another question on, would one enjoy being a freelancer? How do you determine the career that you want? Where to go to look for all this interesting information?
Correct. So, clearly the opportunities for freelancer are incredibly high. As compared to the previous generation, today, you can be a freelancer. You can sit in Malaysia and you can serve the United States. The world is a opportunity base for us, and that is the power of technology. So there has never been a better time. But I must also warn you, the world is an opportunity, but the world is also competition. So if you are mediocre, don't be a freelancer. You will get crushed. So you have to be good at what you do. You got to be passionate about what you do. You got to invest consistently in getting better at what you do. Then I think you have a huge opportunity to be a freelancer. So I think freelance is almost like being a solo entrepreneur. And if you are good, people will pay you top-notch money because the world has got so many problems to solve. Every company has got so many problems to solve. We have so many problems. If you can convince me you can solve my problem, man, I will also take you on board. And I invite many of you to apply for jobs at Twimbit. We are desperately looking. I'm saying these words. We are desperately looking for incredible young talent who are passionate to work hard and who love to do research. So we welcome that. So in short, freelancer, great opportunity, but be ready to work hard. You should enjoy it and invest in yourself.
Yeah, I'm glad you opened up to say that you're looking for people. There was a comment from Afiq. He wants to send his resume. So we'll look around and give your email and the email of your team for them to catch up with you.
I would love to. Yeah, we welcome everybody.
Yeah. So some of the other questions that are coming through, I'm just looking through it. Anne says your session has been really insightful. Well done. And according to your slide, you said own your human ambition. Does, according to you, are there different types of ambitions? How would you unpack that?
Good question, Anne. Yeah, it's a good question. See, I'm not the expert in answering it, but I'll tell you what Bill Clinton, I was fortunate once I heard Bill Clinton answer this question. They asked him, oh, I have got so many things, I'm a father, I'm an employee, I am a society. How do I manage all of this? Where should I focus my energies and what should I do? So he said like this, he said, we all have a responsibility on three fronts. One, we have a responsibility to our family. Okay? Number two is we have a responsibility to a career. And third is we have a responsibility to the society and the planet we live in. Right? And ideally, through our lifetime, we have to do for all of these three. Now, it is not possible for us to do 33%, 33%, 33% consistently in all the three, all the time. So maybe when you are young, maybe you don't have as much time to focus on one. When, maybe between the age of 25 to 50, you are so focused on family. So you do 80% family, 10% society, 10% planet. After your age of 50, maybe you do more planet and society and less, right? So human ambition is, I think you got to pick what brings out the most, and at different stages of your life, choose where you want to apply yourself. What gives you, we all have a responsibility. The other thing that is changing with businesses, 181 CEOs in the US signed a memorandum last year, where they said, we are going to change our companies. We are no longer just about shareholder value. We are about stakeholder value. So that means we are into 5 stakeholders: planet, employee, customers, partners, and investors. So you can choose your human ambition. You should have a planet part, you should have a family part, you should have a career part, and the mix will vary based on how you spend time.
Good. Thank you. And you had the slide on the SDGs. So many to be passionate about, whether you care about the oceans, you care about, fair work, you care about poverty and various areas there. So you could actually make your personal human ambition into a larger context to address what's out there while you find passion and purpose on your own, I thought, right? So there's some more questions. You're getting a lot of questions. I'm catching up with most of them.
We can do rapid fire. Maybe we do rapid fire. Okay. Before I get carried away.
Correct. How do you look at support systems, and what do you do when your support system breaks down?
Add more people to your support system. Add more people. I think, it is hard. I don't disagree. You will be lonely. It will be painful. There are days when I question, man, what the hell am I doing with Twimbit? It can be hard. I write emails and nobody responds. There are those days. Those days. But then, those days go away also very quickly, right? Another day will come. So forget it and live and start looking for the next one. So as long as you are going ahead, because the future can always be better.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about the future, you can never be wrong because nobody knows the future, right? So as long as you are focused on the future, you will be fine. And the support system, choose the right people around you, bring enough family members, bring enough people from your professional life. Some supports, God is a support system, right? Yeah, you can have a conversation with whichever God you practice, and that's a support system. And so sports is a support system. I go running a fair bit. So it's a huge support system for me. So pick up these different attributes and that can encourage you to do things.
The question on confidence, to choose a career field, how do you build the confidence, especially when you're not sure about what the future brings? Technology could take away your role and make you irrelevant.
The role may become irrelevant, but the larger purpose that you are looking at solving may not become irrelevant, right? So like, for example, when we are talking to, let's say, bank, and just gives you an insight into when the banks of yesterday were focused on helping us open a bank account and keep the money and remove the money at various convenience locations. The banks are still going to be there. The banks have a huge role to play. But what we expect from our banks is that, oh, I don't need to go to a bank. Ideally, I should be able to transfer money on WhatsApp. It should be that easy.
Yeah.
Ideally, I should not go to the bank to ask for a loan, but the bank should know I need a loan and they should put the money in my bank account, right? And that is possible. So the specific job we may do may go away, but the larger purpose associated with that job is not going to go away. So you got to be agile enough to move and look at it in a broader sense, rather than say that I'm here in that micro point of view. And as long as we are learning, I think it can be applied in so many different ways. Steve Jobs learned about calligraphy, and he never knew where it will go. He learned about it when he was 25. But when he designed the Mac, man, the fonts, everything, it all came in handy to him. So don't worry, just do a bloody great job at whatever you do. That's all it takes, actually.
Yeah. Great advice. What about the ups and downs? How do you deal with, your disappointments? This is touching a little bit on mental health and spiritual health. And, when situations are not going your way, what's your coping mechanism? How do you face those things?
Yeah, I'm fortunate, fortunate that, we have been, blessed that we have been able to be very lucky in many aspects of life. But I find a lot of release in sports, I must say. Yeah. So I think sports, you think about the COVID world. In COVID world, when there was no football on television, the world was very sad. The moment they bought sports, right? So I think seek support in these other habits. And the moment you have a support in other habits in communities, even though you may not go and tell them your problem, because you're part of that, it changes, you learn new things. So I think that's also a part of the managing ups and downs. Because when I'm going cycling, I'm not telling them about the challenge I'm facing in my company. I'm dealing with that challenge at that time, right? So I kind of rejuvenate myself using that.
Any regrets in your career, past and present?
I wish I had the courage to switch my job a little earlier, to be honest. I think 24 years was a little too many. Maybe 5 years earlier would have been better. That is the only one. But other things were fairly okay. I've been lucky.
Sure. You mentioned discomfort in your presentation as well. When you feel a little bit too comfortable, you need to push yourself to do new things. Sometimes, of course, it's very scary. How do you deal with that emotion? You're uncomfortable, but you really don't want to change and go into the unknown.
I think yesterday I was listening to somebody, Yoshi Shinberg, and I posted on LinkedIn. And what I said was, you don't know it is impossible
until it's done.
Nelson
Mandela said something like that.
Yeah. So I think so everything is possible. Start with that premise, actually. And the others are, until I forget the sentence, but maybe the question you're asking is, how do you have the courage to take the risk, right?
Yeah.
I think you got
Especially
to
for someone that's very new in their stage, because a lot of the people in the audience are students and, about to graduate and all that, right?
What do you have to lose? What do they have to lose? In fact, if you ask me, one more regret. I wish when I came out of my MBA school, I started something. Because it's a lot easier. I had no children to feed, no school fees to pay.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh my,
I had no mortgages. And so what do you have to lose? What is the worst that you can lose? Your mother and father will put food on the table and you have a place to live. This is the best chance. So what is the worst? Now I'm approaching it like this. What is the worst for me if I fail at Twimbit? What is the worst? So in order to prepare for it, I made sure I covered enough money to pay for my kids' education. That is the only thing that matters. Everything else, we are ready to compromise, right? So as long as I covered that, what is the worst? I lose 3, 4, 5 years. Big deal. We'll deal with it. There's so much more time. Right? So what is the worst that can happen? I think worst that can happen is you gain a better experience.
Yeah. Yeah. A bad experience is learning as well. And sometimes it's better learning than a good one, because a bad experience made you think a little bit more.
Correct.
So, some of them are also asking about the education system. If you're going to be a freelancer, you got to be good. Does the education system prepare you for that kind of careering? Which actually is not really the education system. I'm sure you have your opinion. For me, it's not.
Correct.
It's about you.
It's about you. You have to complement the education system with other things. You got to go do your internships, right? I think on that show, Shark Tank, I think one of the guests there, who is a shark, he said, go offer yourself for 6 months to work for free. and that's how you build the best experience. So education is important, but supplemented with other things. At least education gives you a structure, right? It gives you a structure on which you can build. In the absence of a structure, the risk can be very, very high.
Yeah.
So now, if you are very bright, like Steve Jobs, you can leave and go. But if you are not that bright, then keep the education and supplement it through investment, adding mentors, picking up courses, doing things, speaking at events, offering your services to various projects, etc.
Yeah, be out there.
Yeah.
We've only got one sort of last question before we close. We're coming to the end of your session. Unfortunately, there's so many good questions out there. But let me do a quick fire. Rostam Effendi said, street smart or book smart?
Yeah, street
Don't say
smart.
both.
Yeah. Street smart. Yeah, I agree. Street smart.
Yeah. So it's been lovely. It's been lovely listening to you. Your sharing, your wonderful presentation, and it comes from the heart. We can tell. And I think all of us are inspired, including me. I love listening to your stories. I hope we can convene again and share more stories. For the people who've dialed in, thank you very much. This is the end of the session with Manoj and Twimbit. Remember that. And I wish you all the best. Good luck and stay safe, Manoj and everyone. And over to the EduCity team. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Miss Shireen, who also happens to be the CEO of GigXGlobal, and she has her own series during EdLeadS 2021. So guys, you better check that session out as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Manoj from Twimbit, on the topic, a very insightful presentation on career versus careering. For all the participants out there, we will be informing you once we finish with the program, where can you get all the videos of this session. Now, to win exclusive merchandises from Sensible Soccer, how? For the first 100 registered participants, you are already a winner, but you have to ensure that you complete all of the 10 series. But no worries, even if you're not the 100 registered participants, just be very active, complete all 10 series, be very active in the Q&A session, and you will stand a chance to win the merchandises as well. The grand prize that I would like to announce for EdLeadS 2021, what we'll be giving out is a Man United home shirt sports jersey signed by current players like Cavani, Rashford, and many more. So stay tuned for that, because if you're active in all 10 series, be part of the Q&A session, you will receive an exclusive email asking you about EdLeadS 2021. So check out your email as well. For those who are watching today, you will be getting an e-certificate, but if you ensure to complete all 10 sessions, you will get a platinum e-certificate. So before I end this session, thank you very much to our biggest supporter, Malaysia's Ministry of Higher Education, our official partner, Maybank, Lenovo, CREST, Twimbit, GigXGlobal, our international partner, Sensible Soccer. And then for an updated program schedule, check out edleads.educity.com.my. And if you have any inquiries, drop us an email at events@educity.com.my. Follow us for all the announcement on EdLeadS on our social media. We have a Facebook, we have Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok as well. 14th January, this coming Thursday at 3 p.m. Malaysia time, we're going to have our first session with representative from Sensible Soccer, Mike Phelan and David Horrocks. Very exciting, but there's a video next that's going to give you a teaser of what is happening on 14th of January. So I'll see you this Thursday at that time, 3 p.m. Malaysia. Yasmin, signing off. Thank you very much.